Even if driving games aren't normally your thing, Burnout 3 is still right for you. It's that good. The original Burnout, released back in 2001, was a great arcade-style racing game. It delivered a sense of speed that most games lacked, and it also showcased some pretty spectacular crashes. In fact, the crashes were so cool that they were spun off into their own mode of play in Burnout 2. The crash mode in Burnout 2 was totally separate from the main racing game, but the puzzle-like challenge of wrecking your car in the right spot and at the right time caused the most spectacular, most damaging multi-car pileups, which represented an amazing addition to the game. Burnout 3 expertly combines the two main elements of the series while also adding some great new gameplay modes, a career mode that ties all of these different modes together, and online play that supports up to 6 players on the same racetrack. On top of all that, it's all totally amazing. Burnout 3, like the previous games in the series, is mainly a racing game that rewards you for living dangerously. The game features simple, responsive controls. You can accelerate, steer, brake, and brake around corners, and boost for a burst of speed. Driving dangerously comes in the form of driving in the wrong lane, getting close to other cars, catching air, drifting around turns, and so on. When you pull such risky maneuvers, you're rewarded with a boost. But the quickest way to fill your boost meter in a regular race is to make your opponents crash. Takedowns, as you might imagine from the game's subtitle, are a major part of Burnout 3. When you knock another car out, not only is your boost meter filled, but it's also extended up to a maximum of 4 times its original size. The downside is that you'll expose yourself to some pretty dangerous situations to earn all this boost, and crashing will eliminate much of your boost, chop off one of your bonus meter segments if you have any, and more than likely cause you to fall back 1 or 2 spots in a race. The other big gameplay mechanic in Burnout 3 makes the crashes much more exciting and interactive. When you crash, you can drop the game into a slow motion mode called Impact Time, which makes for a very interesting and even innovative dynamic where the pacing of the game can drastically shift for a few moments if you crash. While this slow motion look at cars getting mangled is beautiful in and of itself, you can actually make light adjustments to your car's trajectory using the left analog stick, which is something the game calls aftertouch. By applying aftertouch when you crash, not only can you stack your car into trucks, tankers, and other cars just for the heck of it, but also you can attempt to knock into your opponents in a race. If you're successful, you'll earn an aftertouch takedown, which refills your boost meter and prevents you from losing any bonus meter segments. Burnout 3's crash mode has also been completely redesigned to take advantage of aftertouch, so you'll have to do more than just wreck into the right spot this time around. Instead, you'll need to maneuver your vehicle's carcass around for best results. It's a strange and surprisingly well thought out addition to the game, especially when you take into account the mode's new Crash Breaker power-up, which lets you make your car spectacularly explode on command. While the crashes are flashy and spectacular, the most impressive part of Burnout 3 is its pure sense of speed. This is something that most other racing games simply can't seem to get right. In Burnout 3, racing at 150 miles an hour feels about as dangerous as it should. Boosting in a Super Series car will get you up around the 200 miles per hour mark, which feels ridiculously fast, especially when you factor in the relative speeds of oncoming drivers. The sense of speed combines with things like oncoming traffic to make Burnout 3 a truly white-knuckle experience. If all games could maintain this level of intensity from start to finish, avid game players would be going gray well before their time. Burnout 3 has online support for up to 8 players on both PlayStation 2 and Xbox, though when it comes to actually putting all the players into one race, your maximum limit is 6 players. The best thing that can be said about the online support in Burnout 3 is that it works very, very well. If one player has a particularly laggy connection, you might see that car skip around the course a little bit, but for the most part the game handles all 6 drivers, as well as a full complement of traffic to dodge, amazingly. Burnout 3's audio is great. Actually, the sounds of driving, from the roar of your engine to the rush of wind as you pass oncoming traffic, to the loud thunks of your car shifting gears, to the bass-heavy whoosh that kicks in when you hit your boost, are incredible. However, that's counterbalanced by a few negatives. The game is missing a few key noises that would have added to the sense of realism. But the real culprits are the game's announcer and soundtrack. The knucklehead alt-rock jock that handles the announcing is merely annoying to begin with, but when you hear him repeat the same handful of phrases time and time again, you'll do the right thing and turn him off from the game's options menu. The music also doesn't mesh very well with the action, making the Xbox custom soundtrack support a nice alternative. Unless your only idea of driving game enjoyment involves playing the strictest of simulators, Burnout 3 Takedown is the driving game for you. It's instantly accessible, yet it has more than enough challenge to it to keep you busy for a very long time, even if you don't intend to play the game online. So even if driving games aren't normally your thing, if you're a thrill seeker, this game has them in spades. Burnout 3 Takedown is an amazing achievement that anyone with a pulse will probably love.